Hello everyone. We know how frustrating it can be when you can't join your online classes because your connection to Zoom isn't stable. Unfortunately, there isn't always an obvious solution to connection issues. I'm going to spend the next few minutes going over some things that you can do to increase the reliability of your connection to Zoom. The first thing to understand is that both Zoom and your internet browser, which is probably Chrome, both take up a lot of your computer's resources. So to minimize the amount of resources they use, there are a few things we can do. First off, whenever possible, close out as many of your tabs as possible when you want to have a Zoom call. So if you don't need your calendar open, for example, go ahead and close that tab. Only keep tabs open if you really need them for that particular class. Another thing inside of Chrome that takes up a lot of resources are extensions. You can see that I have several extensions right here. To see what extensions you have and to modify them, head to the three dots on the right-hand side of the browser. Choose More Tools and then Extensions. You'll see I have many extensions on my computer, but I can disable them with this toggle. Any extension that I'm not actively using, I should go ahead and disable for now. They take up a lot of resources and they might damage your connection to Zoom. Some of them, like this one, are locked in and you won't be able to turn them off. You can ignore those. If you have a VPN extension, like I do here, which is an extension that makes your browsing anonymous, you should go ahead and turn that off because it will often interfere with your connection to Zoom. The next thing we'll discuss is your home internet connection. While everyone's connection is different, there are some general tips that might help you get a better connection. The first thing that you can do is go to the site speedtest.net. This will conduct a quick test of your internet connection. Once it loads, press go. The system requirements for Zoom suggest that you should have at least 1.5 megabits per second in both download and upload. But in practice, having at least 5 megabits per second is probably better. While it's not always possible, if there are other people in your home using the internet, and they don't need to be while you're on Zoom, it would probably help if they weren't. For example, if someone is trying to stream Netflix or Hulu while you're trying to connect to Zoom, it would be best if they could hold off until you're done. You can think about your home internet connection like it were a highway. And the more cars on the highway, or the more users using the network, the slower it's going to go. Somewhere in your home, there is a network router. This is the device that literally beams the internet to your various devices. When possible, be as close as possible or in the same room as the router. And it's also a good idea to periodically unplug the router and let it sit for 30 seconds and then plug it back in to reboot. I would do this on a weekly basis, but if you're having specific issues connecting, it never hurts to do so and retry to connect to Zoom. In terms of using Zoom, having your camera and mic on at the same time will always use more resources on the computer and the internet. If you're having problems, or you're being told that you're coming across as laggy or robotic by people who are listening to you, one option is to turn your camera off. While many of our teachers are asking people to leave their cameras on, you should discuss with them why it's important for you to turn it off in certain circumstances. It will definitely have positive effects on your connection. And finally, to talk about your device. If you're using a Chromebook, it never hurts to shut the machine down. Often, they don't get shut down very often, and a restart always helps a machine run smoother. But a couple of notes about shutting down a Chromebook. Closing the lid does not actually shut it down. It just puts it to sleep. Also, holding down the power button for 10 seconds will turn the machine off, but isn't recommended unless the machine is frozen and there's no other option. When you hold the power button down for that long and it shuts down, it doesn't go through the proper shutdown sequence, and it's not good for the hard drive. To properly shut down a Chromebook, go to the bottom right-hand corner and click where you see the Wi-Fi and volume and battery indicators, and then choose the power icon. This will shut the machine down. Let it sit for 30 seconds and power it back up. If you're still having problems, one sort of last ditch effort you can have is to reset the Chromebook. Here's a YouTube video that shows how to do so. On a final note, it's sometimes easy to assume that the microphone on your device is broken or not functioning properly because people are telling you that your sound is not coming out properly when you're speaking. Most of the time, it's not actually the microphone itself. But one easy test that you can do is to head to the website mictests.com. The first time you do this, it will ask you to give permission to use the microphone, and then you can conduct a test. While the test is running, speak into your microphone at a normal volume, and when it's done, see if it plays back properly. If it plays back properly, then there's nothing wrong with your microphone. Instead, there's an issue with your internet connection or with Zoom itself. If it still comes back garbled, then it might actually be your microphone. If you have access to an external mic or a headset that has a microphone, you can always use that to solve this kind of issue.